Okay, today is July 30th, 2019, and right now at 9:20 p.m. we have a temperature of 71 degrees here in the foothills of Los Angeles. The relative humidity is 67%. The dew point is 59 degrees. That's down from 61 degrees. It was felt very muggy today. And we have a barometric pressure right now of 29.91 inches. All right, that's on the rise just a tad. Today and the last couple of days, we've had very heavy chemtrail aerosol spraying here in the Southern California area. And then back on the 25th, we had 5 minutes of rain. And let's see, we also had some chem spray that day as well over the top of the clouds that were moving in. We had some cumulonimbus development, which was being superheated. I showed that on one of the videos. And then back on the 23rd, we had some morning rain. We had 4/100ths of an inch that day. And then on the as I mentioned, on the 25th, we had 5 minutes of rain. That totaled to about 4/100ths of an inch. Those were fairly large drops. All right, so as I say, the last 3 days, very, very heavy chemtrail aerosol spraying. And of course, we have a no rain forecast. And notice what's happening here in the western U.S. water vapor loop. We have a clockwise pinwheel of moisture coming up from Mexico here. This is the monsoonal pattern here, and this is moving in and spiraling in a clockwise direction. And the reason for that is if we look at the pressure maps right here, this is the sea level pressure map, and we can see that we have two surface closed lows right here, low pressure here and here, closed low pressure at the surface level. And so we would have rising air down here at the basically at the surface level up to about 18,000 feet. Now, if we look at the 500 millibar chart, what do we see here? We see a closed high pressure cell, basically high pressure, which is descending air, stacked on low pressure, which is this area of developing weather, trying to develop. So we've got the jaggy isobars indicating man-made manipulation of this pressure gradient here. We see these jaggy lines. That's not natural. None of this is natural. As I've mentioned before, all these isobars should be very, very smooth flowing lines. Here we see a jaggy down here. This is all being manipulated, and we'll show that later, some of the activity. Let's look at the 300 millibar map. Notice this low up here. This is a closed low at the 500 millibar level up here. Closed low, nice smooth isobars. This is a big low pressure system. We'll take a look at that here in a few minutes. Here's the 300 millibar pressure map. So here we see a giant closed high pressure system right on top, stacked on top of that surface low pressure that we just were showing here. This is the surface map. Once again, we see these two closed low pressures. And so the manipulation is occurring because of all of this artificial high pressure. These are satellite transmitters generating this high pressure, which is causing these, let's get the camera here. We can see that here in the western map, we see that clockwise pinwheel of high pressure spinning clockwise. We see the descending air forcing everything in a clockwise pattern. Now, all day long, we've been noticing a very strange pattern, which is proves that what's going on here. This is the southwest map. This is the water vapor loop. And all day long, we've been seeing this moisture approach towards California and be completely evaporated. Let's go ahead and look at the rainbow loop. All day long, this is the Colorado River. All the precipitation in this area has been sprayed over, and up until just a few hours ago, we weren't seeing any color in this area. It was just purple all through this entire area. So we had very, very heavy spraying today and yesterday and the day before that, the last 3 days. Very, very heavy spraying. And so the chemtrail aerosols, once again, they cap the atmosphere, prevent the lift, and that prevents the precipitation process. So we've got plenty of moisture in the atmosphere, as we can see here, moving in this pattern, but yet no precipitation in California. And so we know why. The jets have been out spraying. These specially equipped jets have been spraying, and we've been seeing dash lines and X's and all sorts of different features in the skies here in Southern California. Now, back a few days ago, we saw the cumulonimbus development over the mountains, which I documented in a video, and we showed that, and those were being superheated, and that prevented any thunderstorm activity and no precipitation. And that's what happens. So these weather controllers mix things up. On one hand, they can superheat and destroy these beautiful cumulonimbus formations that are rising up, trying to bring some precipitation, and or they can just simply spray over the incoming moisture, and that just stops the lift in the atmosphere, and we have nothing, just a lot of terrible air, which is terrible air quality the last few days as a result. Okay, let's look at the National Hurricane Center map. This is the Central Pacific map. We can see two hurricanes that have formed just in the last day and a half. We have Erick right here, which is approaching the south side of the Big Island. This is expected to move along and then swing up this way up to the west-northwest. This hurricane just turned into a Category 4 storm with 130 mile per hour winds, sustained winds. We've got a central pressure of 952 millibar, and the storm is moving west-northwest at 15 miles per hour. Now, right behind it, we have Flossie. This just turned into a hurricane today, and this storm is Category 1 with 80 mile per hour winds, pressure of 990 millibar in the center, and we have movement west-northwest at 14. Let's take a look again at Erick and watch the cone trek. You can see that over the next few days it's forecasted to move along the south side of the Big Island. Okay, so let's take a look at the what's going on here on the Tropical Pacific wide map. We can see that Erick right here had an eye wall, a very well-defined eye wall this morning, but towards the end of this loop we see that the eye wall has disappeared. And we also have some clockwise rotation out here. We see all this flow out to the northeast. You see high pressure right here. There's a bow in this moisture pattern right about there. And so there is high pressure up here, which is going to force this hurricane to stay in a more westerly trek. And also right here we have some high pressure being installed right in front of this hurricane. And we'll have to watch this very carefully and see what they do next. If anything, this activity right here will slow this storm down, and they may push this thing up north towards these islands. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on this and see what develops. Now over here we have this other storm here, and this is being you can see a blast pattern right there towards the end. So this storm is being targeted as well. I've already forgotten the name of that. This is Erick and Flossie. Flossie. I don't think I've ever heard that name used for a hurricane, but there it is. So this is Flossie, and this storm is quite a bit larger than Erick out here. So we're going to keep an eye on this. We can see high pressure building between these two systems to maintain separation. Both of these could be targeted and completely wiped out with just a few keystrokes on the keyboard. That's not happening. We'll have to keep a close eye on things. Up here we notice the monsoonal flow into Arizona. Let's go ahead and look at that Doppler map and see what's happening here in the Arizona area. Okay, now we see the Phoenix NEXRAD Doppler radar, the microwave Doppler right here in Phoenix, which is that is the NEXRAD microwave Doppler for Phoenix, and that is KIWA. That's the call sign for that microwave transmitter, which is chopping up and evaporating some of the precipitation right here near the Phoenix area. We can see those pie-shaped cutouts, straight edges. We also have a Tucson transmitter right down here near the 10 freeway, just south of the 10 freeway. And that transmitter is active. We can see the pie-shaped cutouts right here and down over here. That's all originating, triangulating to just south of Tucson. The Tucson transmitter's call sign is KEMX. These are these WSR 88D microwave radar systems. They work dual function. They serve as a severe weather detection radar, but they also have a dual function, which is not known to the public, and that is they can beam out high energy microwave and evaporate severe weather, such as what we're seeing right here and down here. So these pie-shaped cutouts are all emanating from these microwave Doppler radar transmitters, which are stacked on about a 6-story tower. They're managed by the Department of Defense, and up until recently, up until Trump became president, all this was classified. That is the weather, certain aspects of our weather were classified, and so President Trump has lifted that classification, and that will, of course, allow us some oversight by curious people. So the question is why is the DoD involved in our weather and managing these Doppler microwaves? Well, the reason probably is that they don't want any public oversight. They don't want people to know that there is actual control of our weather. So by doing this, they can precisely regulate the amount of precipitation in a given area. And this works out really nicely for the people on Wall Street that have set up these weather derivatives and so forth. So we can see that the map here is now not functioning right. So we'll leave it at that and move on. So we've got the southwest map. We can see that most of the day, everything west of the Colorado was completely evaporated. These transmitters were completely evaporating all this moisture as it moved in. As the day wore on, we see a different pattern. We have a lot of moisture moving in, but yet no precipitation. So let's get back and see if we can get this map to see if we can get that map to work. We'll come back to that here in a second. So there it is. This is the report. I've been unable to make a video the last few days, but there it is. So we've got high pressure stacked on top of low pressure. That's something that the meteorologists should be talking about on television. The fake news won't talk about any of this. They won't even acknowledge that we're having jets spraying dashed lines in the skies, for crying out loud. So, if you're watching mainstream media, try to wean yourself off of NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox News, and all the rest of it, because they are the enemy of the people, and they have propagated a lot of lies. They have created division and unrest in the country. So take it from me, just turn it off. Okay, this is the tropical rainbow color infrared loop. We see that eye wall disappearing right there as this system approaches the Hawaiian Islands right there. And we have Flossie right here. It looks like briefly there's an eye wall that forms, but we'll keep an eye on both of these. Okay, so that's it for now. We'll try to get another update here real soon. Okay, that's it.